It's the event the world has been waiting for. Prince Harry is tying the knot. His chosen bride is 3 years older, divorced, biracial, and American.
Meghan Markle has got the potential to revolutionize the royal family.
Harry has always done things his own way, and this marriage is no different.
There's such a chemistry, a palpable chemistry between the two of them.
As this beautiful woman just sort of literally tripped and fell into my life.
He was the young royal with a wild side.
He has smoked cannabis, he has punched photographers, he has visited lap dancing bars, he has turned stripper.
And no love for life in the public eye.
Are you enjoying getting stuck in?
Not ready with you guys, Ryan.
He served bravely on the front line in Afghanistan, then created the world's biggest sports event for wounded veterans.
It's a way for him to see those individuals that he may have last seen bloodied on the battlefield being at the pinnacle of their game again.
Now he's breaking taboos in his charity work.
For a member of the British royal family to say that they struggled with their mental health, as Prince Harry did last year, was seismic.
We'll chart the royal highs and embarrassing lows of the mischievous little boy who grew up to become a very modern Prince Charming.
Harry is the life and soul of the party, but he really cares about making the world a better place.
And follow the path that will bring him true love at last.
I know that I'm in love with this girl, and I hope that she's in love with me. What you're letting yourself in for is, it's a big deal.
In the months leading up to their marriage, Prince Harry has been introducing Meghan Markle to life in the British royal family.
Harry, when did you know she was the one?
When did I know she was one? The very first time we met.
And the Brits are falling in love with the soon-to-be princess.
She was instantly taken into the hearts of the British people.
The royal family can be stuffy, it can be traditional, it can be stuck in the past, and Meghan is a breath of exciting, American, go-getting, follow your dreams fresh air.
I've never seen him smile as broadly as he smiles these days. He looks so in love, almost a little bit like he can't quite believe his luck.
She's exciting, she's young, she's glamorous, she's Prince Harry's happy ending.
Harry may be on top of the world now, but arriving at his happy ending hasn't been easy for the 33-year-old prince. The second child of Prince Charles and Princess Diana is born on September 15th, 1984. He's named Henry Charles Albert David, but his family and the rest of the world call him Harry.
Prince Harry, of course, was the second born. He was the spare to the heir.
Big brother William, destined to be king, is 2 years older. But Harry is different.
William was a little bit more reserved than Harry, probably clearly destined for royal duties.
William has always been the more serious one. Harry's always been more loosey-goosey, mischievous, cheeky, has a bit of fun. That's what's so charming about him.
Princess Diana's bodyguard, Ken Worf, remembers when he first encountered little Harry's naughty side.
He'd been to the kitchen and said to the chef, what can we put in Ken's bath? The chef gave him a bottle of red food dye. And I went back to my room, came back, and there's the bath. It is now bright red. I thought, what? Yeah, how did it become like that? And then I went outside, and there, sort of in the corner, is this young Harry Wales with a big, broad smile on his face.
The wider world gets a glimpse of Harry's personality when he arrives at kindergarten.
Diana saying, wave to the photographers, and all Harry does is just puts his tongue out at the press, which is a great picture for them.
I think Harry's always had that little glint in his eye. Some of the early pictures of him arriving at school and posing for the cameras in a way that I don't think his brother, Prince William, has ever really felt that comfortable.
Harry's mom, Princess Diana, tries to make his royal upbringing as normal as possible.
She would say things like, right, well, we want to just go out for a burger, and she'll take them onto Kensington High Street.
We came back one afternoon, the Prince of Wales standing in the doorway. And of course, William and Harry were so excited, and the Prince said to Harry, what have you had? He said, we've had a great burger down at Sticky Fingers. So he looked at Diana and said, why do you take them to a burger bar when we've got a perfectly good chef?
Diana doesn't want her sons growing up inside a royal bubble. She shows them life outside the palace walls.
One particular day, we drove to a metro station very near Kensington Palace. Went downstairs, they bought a ticket. We got on the train. And of course, the people on the train just couldn't believe their luck.
One of the things that Diana always impressed upon her sons, William and Harry, was to give back. So she took them to meet the homeless, to various shelters, to hospitals. That had a great impression on them.
There's no royal reserve between Diana and her boys.
Clearly, Princess Diana was a terrific mother, and she really did put William and Harry first.
As the world now knows, Harry's parents' marriage is not a happy one.
The one thing you can say about Charles and Diana is that they did their level best to avoid having arguments or rows in front of William and Harry. Harry has said, he's on record as saying that he didn't really know quite what was going on because he was too young.
After years of rumors and scandal, Charles and Diana announced their separation in 1992.
It is announced from Buckingham Palace that with regret, the Prince and Princess of Wales have decided to separate.
In 1996, they divorce. That same year, Meghan Markle makes a trip to London and poses outside Buckingham Palace. Little does she know she's in front of her future grandmother-in-law's house.
Growing up in a royal palace, Prince Harry's upbringing was very different to Meghan Markle's. But actually there were some parallels in their growing up, in that they both ended up being the products of broken marriages.
Meghan's parents split up when she was 2. Harry and William were at the centre of that extraordinary War of the Waleses, if you like, between Charles and Diana. So both Harry and Meghan have had a similar life experience.
Harry is still dealing with his parents' divorce when just a year later comes the news that shocks the world.
We have reports from Paris that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident and that her partner, Dodi Fayed, has also been killed.
She was only 36 when she died and had lived such a colourful life and had 2 boys who were 12 and 15. And I think just such a sudden and tragic loss took everyone completely by surprise.
Over 1 million people line the streets of London to watch Princess Diana's funeral procession.
The trauma that Prince Harry suffered when his mother died, I don't think any of us truly understood, actually until last year, when for the first time Harry spoke very candidly and very bravely about the impact that the death of his mother had on him. And he said that no child should ever have been made to walk behind their mother's coffin.
5,000 miles away in California, 15-year-old Meghan Markle is watching. She's inspired by Diana's humanitarian work.
Meghan Markle watched Diana's funeral with a friend from downtown LA. I mean, like everybody else, was in tears, and they were inspired to collect toys and games and give them to less fortunate children.
A year after his mother's death, Harry enrolls at Britain's uber-exclusive private school, Eton College.
There were agreements made early on that the press would leave William and Harry alone while they were in school. So there was the requisite photograph of Harry's first day at Eton following the funeral, and then the press did leave him alone.
Harry was given privacy after his mother's death, but unfortunately in that gulf of having to cope with being written about, photographed, his ability to let his hair down went too far.
At age 17, Harry hits the headlines for all the wrong reasons.
He was caught smoking cannabis. Prince Charles sent him on a rehabilitation course, took him to a drug centre to show him the bad effects of drug use.
The lesson may not have had the desired effect. After Harry leaves school, he's photographed partying around the world.
There was a pretty good reason for calling Harry the party prince. I mean, the very first time I met Prince Harry was at a party. He was 17 years old. He was meant to be revising for his A-levels, and instead he was at Kensington Roof Gardens, drinking vodka Red Bull, flirting with a load of beautiful blondes, and having a good time.
I think it's safe to say that Harry was off the rails. He was drinking too much, he was smoking too much, and he was taking drugs, he had a lot of money, and he was enjoying himself.
If Meghan had met Harry at this time, I think she'd have run a mile. I mean, he was everything that she clearly doesn't like in a man. Selfish, only thought for himself, just wanted to have fun.
Harry resents the media interest in his private life. In 2004, he can't hold back his anger as he leaves a London nightclub.
He was stumbling, he was drunk, he was raging, he was incoherent. And I think he was just trying to clear the way and so he could get to his car, but in the fracas, he struck one of the photographers.
Despite his less than princely behavior, Harry's sense of humor and easy charm win people over.
Now, of course, Harry's shenanigans sometimes get some negative attention, but overall, he just seems like a fun time to me.
Since Harry left school, he has smoked cannabis, he has punched photographers, he has visited lap dancing bars, and yet, with every single incident, his popularity has increased.
Coming up, Harry finds a mission in Africa.
He really cares about making the world a better place.
But a guy's weekend in Vegas leaves him a little exposed.
What happened in Vegas, I bet Harry wished it had stayed in Vegas.
After finishing his high school education in 2003, Prince Harry decides it's time to see the world.
He went on this 1 year's trip around the world.
He went to Argentina, he went to Australia, and famously he went to Lesotho, which is a tiny mountainous kingdom in southern Africa, where he really first showed an interest in the kind of work that his mother had been interested in for the poor.
Lesotho has one of the highest populations of orphans anywhere in the world because it has such a high level of AIDS and HIV in the country. The death rate is high, life expectancy is low, and Prince Harry, I think, realised that this was a place that he could actually do some good.
I love kids, and it's something about African kids that are just even more special. They're so underprivileged.
Harry is the life and soul of the party, but he's also a very serious young man. He really cares about making the world a better place.
He made a vow to himself and to Lesotho, basically, that he would never forget that experience. And within 2 years had set up his charity Centre Bali, which means Forget Me Not.
Harry's Africa trip is unforgettable for another reason. It's here he meets and falls in love with his first serious girlfriend, Zimbabwe-born Chelsea Davy. Harry realizes he can turn the media's obsession with him into a force for good, inviting journalists to visit the orphanage. But this will be no ordinary press conference. He has a surprise in store for them.
He decided to challenge the press to a game of soccer, but he had great fun mocking me with making a loser sign and making huff-puffing noises every time he came near me. He knew those pictures would be given really good coverage.
The images of Harry working with the orphans remind many royal watchers of his mom, Princess Diana, who was passionate about removing the stigma around HIV and AIDS.
She blew the myth out of the water over how people could contract AIDS when she was the first high-profile figure, I suppose, to shake hands with an AIDS patient in the late 80s.
Harry absolutely was picking up her mantle. He was continuing her legacy, continuing her work, and doing something that he felt was very important.
It's work Harry continues today, and one of the connections he shares with Meghan.
Both of them are humanitarians, both of them care about other people, both of them really want to make a positive difference. They really want to change the world.
Back in 2005, both Harry and Meghan are focused on fulfilling childhood dreams. Meghan's hitting the Hollywood audition circuit as she tries to break into acting.
The aftermath of the audition, and it went pretty well. We just had to dance crazily, and so I did.
and Harry enrolls in Britain's elite Sandhurst Military Academy.
My very first memory of Harry was that he was seen to be permanently dressed in an army uniform. Although he never shot any pistols, he had a go on these air rifles. He was a perfect shot. I mean, he was a natural.
It was a no-brainer, really, Harry going to Sandhurst. He had to go through all of the training just like anyone else.
After 44 weeks, Harry graduates from the grueling course and in 2006 takes up his commission in one of the country's top regiments, the Blues and Royals.
There he was one Monday morning. There was no big speech, there was no marching band. An hour later, the excitement had died down, to be honest, that Prince Harry was running with us.
James Wharton serves as Prince Harry's tank gunner.
Prince Harry was an excellent officer.
When James is threatened by homophobic soldiers from another regiment, Harry steps in.
He climbed out of the tank and he went away and he got all those soldiers together who were giving me a hard time and he sorted it out. He dealt with the problem.
Harry is keen to test his leadership skills on the front line, but deploying the Queen's grandson to an active war zone is a major security risk.
If they said, no, you can't go front line, then I wouldn't drag my sorry ass through Sandhurst, and I wouldn't be where I am now, because the last thing I want to do is have my soldiers sent away to Iraq or wherever like that.
This wasn't just a box-ticking exercise for him. Harry wanted to be a fighter. He wanted to be there.
Harry gets his wish in 2007 when, thanks to a media blackout, he's sent to Afghanistan.
I never realised just how close to death, in fact, Prince Harry came. On 2 occasions, he came within inches of driving over a live IED.
Yeah, no, essentially yesterday we just bumped into an IED in a vulnerable point. It was only a matter of time before it happened.
But Harry's deployment is cut short when an Australian magazine reveals his presence in the war zone.
He was angry with himself, he was angry with the media, and he felt he'd let people down. But it redoubled his determination to go back for a second stint.
In 2012, Harry heads back to Afghanistan. But before he leaves, he makes time for a quick vacation in Las Vegas with his best friends.
What happened in Vegas? I bet Harry wished it had stayed in Vegas.
Prince Harry invited a load of people back to his apartment, stripped naked in a game of billiards, and of course ended up all over the internet with his crown jewels on full display.
The Queen was not very happy. His father, Prince Charles, was not very happy. He was called back to England for a dressing down from both his father and his grandmother. It just made him look so stupid.
It was probably a classic example of me probably being too much army and not enough prince.
Retrained as an Apache helicopter pilot, Harry is refocused for his second tour of Afghanistan. It's back to basics for the prince, and there'll be no royal treatment.
This is my bed. I don't really make it when I'm down here, which is a joy. That's it, made.
When he was in the army, he was a soldier, and when he was, on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, he was a member of the royal family.
My father's always trying to remind me about who I am and stuff like that. But it's very easy to completely forget about who I am when I'm in the army. Everyone's wearing the same uniform and doing the same kind of thing. All the officers get called sir, and it's great fun. I get on well with the lads, and I enjoy my job. It really is as simple as that.
Even in the middle of an interview, Harry responds to the call to action.
Oh my gosh, I love that interview he did in Afghanistan, where he ripped off his microphone and ran. Because he was needed, because he knew, first and foremost, at that moment, I'm not a media personality. I'm a soldier, and I'm here to help people, and I'm here to do my duty, and I'm doing that first.
Harry made sure that he was right next to the door so that when the alarm sounded and he knew it was time to get in the helicopter, he was the first one in.
The army is clearly a natural fit for Prince Harry. But in 2015, he announces his retirement. It's time to focus on being a prince.
He had an aging grandmother who needed support. For both of the princes, duty is something that has been ingrained in them from the day that they were old enough to talk and understand.
There's a sincerity about Prince Harry. You know when he talks about the things he cares about, his causes, it's so important to him. It's why he's a prince.
Coming up, Harry outsprints the world's fastest man and meets a very special woman.
She's American, she's divorced, She's half black and half white. She's 3 years older than me. I love her, and this is who I'm choosing.
That iconic, the bolt pose. And that was really good, and that really encapsulates Harry. I think the great thing about Harry is that he has his mother's charm and ease of manner, so he's able to charm everyone, from a president to a pauper.
Back in a very wet Britain, Harry joins his brother building flood defenses. With the media following his every moment, Harry can't hide his irritation.
Harry, you enjoying getting stuck in?
Not really with you guys around.
Across the pond, Meghan is much happier to see the cameras. She's landed a major role in a new TV series, Suits, and is settling into her new home in Toronto, where the show is shot. The icy Canadian winters come as a bit of a shock to the California native, but the freezing temperatures of Toronto are nothing compared to what Harry's about to face. In 2013, he joins wounded service members on a 3-week hike across Antarctica to the South Pole. With temperatures as low as -32 degrees Fahrenheit, pulling sleds weighing 150 pounds, the 200-mile trek to the pole isn't going to be easy.
A lot of it's up here, which is, with the military backgrounds that we've all got, should carry us over without a doubt.
Harry completes his grueling journey to the South Pole with his fellow veterans. In 2014, he strengthens his bond with the Wounded Warriors by creating an international sporting event for them, the Invictus Games.
Sport, it gives an opportunity to them and to members of the public as well to all come together and share one goal. It's life-changing. It really is life-changing for them.
Prince Harry has very personal ties with individuals that have gone through traumatic injuries. It's a way for him to see those individuals that he may have last seen bloodied on the battlefield or being medically evacuated, all of a sudden being at the pinnacle of their game again.
Will Reynolds captains Team USA.
It's just given me a way to show that I can overcome kind of the dark times and the hard times.
In 2016, Harry moves the games to Orlando, Florida, and calls in some high-level star power to promote them. America welcomes the prince with open arms.
The American public response to the Invictus Games in Orlando and Prince Harry was overwhelming. I think everyone was super excited when they knew how involved Prince Harry is with the Invictus Games, and that just by coming to the games, you're obviously going to have a Prince Harry sighting because he's at every event.
He's got that perfect balance of being the guy that every guy wants to hang out with and have a beer with, whereas all the girls just love him and think he's cheeky, he's funny, he's got that mischievous glint in his eye.
The Invictus Games demonstrate Harry's ability to make a difference on a world stage. In 2016, he continues his mom's legacy and broadcasts his HIV test live online to show how easy it is to get checked. 4 months later, he does it again, making a superstar duo with pop princess Rihanna.
There's nothing like doing something with a global pop star when you're also an incredibly popular member of the royal family to raise awareness, to reduce the stigma, to reduce the fears around certain issues.
Harry's on a mission. He's on a mission to help each and every individual.
Meghan's also harnessing her growing star power to make a difference. She's serving as a woman's advocate for the United Nations and visits Rwanda for World Vision's Clean Water campaign. It's no surprise that when the two meet that summer, they have a lot to talk about.
And you can almost imagine it as they drank their cocktails. He was talking about, he's doing this, that, and the other on behalf of the Queen, and she would have said, well, yes, but when I spoke at the United Nations, so there'll have been a little game of humanitarian one-upmanship.
But we'll get to that later. In 2017, Harry joins up with his brother and sister-in-law to tackle another taboo, mental health. They launched their Heads Together charity initiative at the London Marathon.
The first time that William, Kate, and Harry had put their heads together and come up with a charity initiative, we actually had them talking about their own experiences.
we've been asking everybody else to share. Now, if there's any way that, you know, our experiences in the past can help with that and help other people come forward, and if our experiences and sharing those experiences can help reduce the stigma for the rest of the UK, then that's where the duty and service bit comes in.
Harry breaks through the stigma on a podcast with journalist Brian E. Gordon. He reveals he struggled with mental health issues after his mother's death.
My way of dealing with it was, sticking my head in the sand, refusing to ever think about my mum, because why would that help? It's only going to make you sad. It's not going to bring her back.
He says it was his brother William who finally prompted him to get help from a therapist.
And then started to have a few conversations, and actually, all of a sudden, all of this grief that I'd never processed started to come to the forefront.
For someone like that, who, from the British royal family, traditionally with the stiff upper lip, never ever talk about things like that, seismic, and it has changed the conversation.
Harry's found he can use his voice to make a real difference.
He's grown up, he's matured. There's no doubt that 5 years ago, if Meghan had met Harry, she would have just said, okay, yeah, great. I mean, he's quite cute, but he's very immature. But the Harry that she met in 2016 was a much more mature, a much more sensible character.
Coming up, Harry the Heartbreaker.
What girl wouldn't want to marry a British prince with all that money to burn?
Finds true love at last.
Can I say yes now?
She didn't even let me finish. She said, can I say yes, can I say yes now? And then there was hugs, and I had the ring in my finger, and I was like, can I give you the ring? She goes, oh yes, the ring.
Prince Harry is one of the world's most eligible bachelors.
The fairy tale, isn't it? A rich, British, good-looking prince, incredibly wealthy. He lives rent-free in a palace. What girl wouldn't want to marry a British prince with all that money to burn?
But finding his fairy tale princess hasn't been easy. Harry is with his first love, Chelsea Davy, for 7 years. But their relationship crumbles under the intense media interest.
To Chelsea's credit, she didn't want to be a princess. And she made that perfectly clear to Harry.
That role of being a royal girlfriend is very challenging. You have to give up so much. You have to be prepared to give up your ambitions, and I think that was a real struggle for Chelsea.
It is part of my life. It's something that is part of the baggage that comes with me. But girlfriend-wise, you know, it's my private life, so it's a different story.
Harry moves on to another high society blonde, 23-year-old Cressida Bonus.
Harry was captivated by her. She was very beautiful. She was very bohemian, a real a budding young actress. You know, he's a very affectionate guy, and he was head over heels in love with her. There was a real spark.
Like Chelsea, Cressida resents the public interest in their relationship. They break up after 2 years.
She was trying to forge an acting career, and if she ever spoke to the press about a play she had been in, they all wanted to talk about Prince Harry.
Harry may be struggling to find Ms. Right, but there's no shortage of candidates.
Prince Harry certainly earned himself a reputation for being a bit of a royal Lothario. He was obviously gorgeous, he was a prince, and he was eligible, so he was never short of female attention.
Prince Harry is definitely a sex symbol. I can remember being a public place with him when he was having a few drinks, and yeah, I was just astonished that every few seconds, really, someone would be shouting out, "Harry, Harry."
I unearthed a couple of crushes that Prince Harry had. He met Cameron Diaz in a gym in London when she was working over here, and she was really keen to try and get his number. And I think Harry couldn't quite believe that he was being chatted up by Cameron Diaz, and left that gym session without handing over his number. And he said to a friend, "Oh, how stupid was I? That was Cameron Diaz." He'd asked Natalie Imbruglia, the singer, out on a date. He'd met Anna Friel, the actress, at a polo match once and rather liked her. And did actually date, very quietly, Jenna Coleman, the Doctor Who actress and the Victoria actress. That he refers to them as his second family.
It was a bit of a test for Meghan. Was she the kind of girl who could do away with all the creature comforts, just have a sleeping bag, just have a canvas, out in the wild, just the two of them? And of course, to his absolute delight, she loved it as well.
Then we were really by ourselves, which was crucial to me to make sure that we had a chance to get to know each other.
The relationship soon becomes serious, but nobody outside their immediate circle knows what's going on.
It was remarkable that Prince Harry, you know, the most eligible prince in the world, and Meghan Markle, a pretty famous actress, were dating for months without anyone knowing about it.
Of course, they can't keep the secret forever. 4 months after that first date, reporter Camilla Tominey receives a tip-off.
It came out of the blue, and it's what we call in the trade a one-fact story. Prince Harry is dating this girl, this is her name, and then you Google her and you find out that she's this amazingly stunning American actress. And I felt really confident about the relationship early on because I thought Prince Harry's given interviews where he said, you know, I've found a lot of women in my life, but none of them want the baggage of being with me. They can't handle the pressure of being in the limelight. And I thought, oh, hang on, this girl's got potential because clearly she doesn't mind being in the limelight.
Harry was with Meghan in Toronto when news of the relationship came out. And so they poured themselves a bottle of red wine and then toasted themselves. And Harry said, "Your life will never be the same again."
Reporters around the world begin combing through Meghan's social media.
There was a pair of bananas sort of snuggling up with a good night and a kiss on it. And of course, when we knew about the relationship, those posts and images suddenly made a lot of sense.
But the couple managed to stay under the radar for one more event.
Prince Harry went back out to Toronto to spend Halloween with Meghan, and they went on a double date because they went with Princess Eugenie, who is Prince Harry's cousin, and her fiancé Jack Brooksbank. The four of them went out trick-or-treating, apparently wearing Halloween masks.
Meghan may be used to media attention, but nothing can prepare her for the onslaught that follows.
Suddenly, the gloves are off and people are going to mothers and ex-lovers and friends and relatives and trying to buy them up, trying to buy up their story.
When the first news broke of the fact that Prince Harry was dating a biracial young woman, Meghan Markle, the tabloid press in Britain certainly went into its default racist mode.
To see the level of abuse that has been thrown at Meghan has been truly horrifying.
I mean, what was Harry to do? Meghan was in Kensington Palace crying, saying to Harry, I don't know what to do. I've never had to deal with this kind of attention. She felt very upset. And of course, for Harry, it brought back all the memories of his mother who'd been, you know, hounded, as he felt, by the press. And so he put out this extraordinary statement.
Prince Harry takes the unusual step of releasing a powerfully worded statement. It refers to Meghan as his girlfriend and says, he knows commentators will say this is the price she has to pay, and that this is all part of the game. He strongly disagrees. This is not a game. It is her life and his.
He was very much staking his claims on this relationship and saying, this relationship matters to me. This woman matters to me. She's American. She's divorced. She's half black and half white. She's 3 years older than me. I love her, and this is who I'm choosing. And I was cheering.
In September 2017, Harry and Meghan finally appear in public together at the Toronto Invictus Games.
It's the cause closest to Prince Harry's heart. It is his championships. He's immensely proud of it. So I suppose what better platform to show off his new girlfriend, who he's equally proud of, than the Invictus Games. She didn't seem at all fazed by all the cameras, all the security, all the attention, the huge crowds that were there. She just, well, it was remarkable to watch, actually.
Soon it is time for Meghan's toughest test yet.
Meghan's first meeting with the Queen was quite cloak and dagger.
They were whisked up to the Queen's private apartments where they all had a cup of tea.
Of course, for Meghan, it was an audition where there was no chance to learn any lines or any repeats. Although I can tell you that She had been to a tea room in Pasadena where she'd learnt the art of drinking tea.
Meghan said afterwards, she said she was so nervous, she literally didn't remember what she talked about, and it just sped by so quickly. But she was so glad that the Queen had dogs.
And the corgis took to you straight away.
That's true.
For the last 33 years being barked at. This one walks in, absolutely
Just
nothing.
laying on
Just
my feet during tea.
wagging
It was very
tails,
sweet.
And it's just like, oh.
With the royal seal of approval from the Queen, in November 2017, Harry
wait to roll up their sleeves and get down to business.
And what will the future bring?
Hopefully we can expect the pitter-patter of tiny, red-headed, potentially feet quite soon.
Prince Harry's journey from a prank-loving little boy to international humanitarian has hit some bumps along the way. But at 33 years old, he's one of the most popular royals in history.
You talk about, royal celebrities. There's no doubt in my mind that Harry is a global royal celebrity.
Harry is very much like his mother. I mean, he acts like her, he's impetuous like her, he falls in love just like she fell in love, and he has many of the more charming aspects of her character.
Now with Meghan by his side, Harry's ready to change the world.
Both of us have passions for wanting to make change for good, and with lots of young people running around the Commonwealth, that's where we're going to spend most of our time, hopefully.
And it was really one of the first things we connected on. It was one of the first things we started talking about when we met, was just the different things that we wanted to do in the world and how passionate we were about seeing change. I think that was, that's what got date 2 in the books.
You got the sense that they just haven't been able to wait to roll up their sleeves and get down to business. They've been really busy since the engagement announcement.
Their first choice of public engagement was notable for a charity that Diana made famous, AIDS.
I think Harry's passion for working with the HIV and AIDS community is definitely a continuation of his mother's work. Both William and Harry recognise all that she had accomplished in her relatively short life, and they want to continue that legacy. I think she'd be very proud of all that they've accomplished in her name.
Harry hasn't lost any time introducing Meghan to royal duties.
They've done so many things together, from Invictus Games to trips to Scotland, working in Brixton with low-income kids who are trying to use their voices for good in media.
I think what makes Harry and Meghan so incredibly special is that they are such a good team. At one engagement, they were doing a walkabout and Harry met a little girl who wants to be an actress. Meghan was on the other side of the road, but he said, "You've got to meet this little girl. She wants to be an actress." And Meghan gave her a big hug and tips. That little girl will never, ever forget that interaction.
Both Harry and Meghan have an easy connection with the children they meet, which leads to the obvious question.
Children?
Not currently, no. No, of course, I think, one step at a time, and hopefully we'll start a family in the near future.
These two are so in love with each other, can't wait to get married, and Meghan can't wait to start to have a family. And neither can Harry. Hopefully we can expect the pitter-patter of tiny, red-headed, potentially feet quite soon.
Their children may well have red hair like their dad, but they'll also share their mom's African-American heritage.
For the first time, there will be people legitimately in line for the throne, if they have children, who will be part Black as well. And I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited to see their beautiful children who are more diverse, who look a little bit more like the rest of us.
Harry and Meghan won't have far to turn for parenting tips. William and Kate and their 3 children are close neighbors at Kensington Palace.
They all just seem to have a great rapport with each other. You can tell that they care a great deal for each other.
Working together, William, Kate, Harry, and Meghan's combined star power forms a royal supernova.
The dynamic when the Fab Four, as they have been christened, conducted their forum, that was the first time we sort of saw the 4 of them working together. I think it worked very well. That forum showed a team.
For a long time, it's been the 3 of them, William, Kate, and Harry. Now Harry's partnered up there's a great opportunity for two very different couples to come together and achieve great things.
I think Harry and Meghan are going to change the monarchy in a big way.
You've got this incredibly glamorous, utterly in love, gorgeous couple with, I think, a sort of humanitarianism at their heart that we haven't actually seen since the days of Diana. So I think together they've got the possibility to change, to reinvent, to project the monarchy, to take it into the 21st century, and actually to make it even more popular than it already is.